Okay, we're starting in the Gemara, 4 lines from the bottom of Daf Chafei Amud Beis. Gemara here returns back to the halachas of lighting Shabbos candles with what oils or with what wicks could you light Shabbos candles. Tanya, we learned in Abraisa. Rab Shimon ben Elazar Omer, Rab Shimon ben Elazar says, Ein madlikim b'tzari. You can't light with tzari, which is balsam. My timer. What's the reason for this? This is only part of a braisa. On the next Amud, we're going to soon learn the rest of the braisa. It's a long braisa, but the Gemara interrupts it to discuss what's the issue with tzari. So Amar Rabbe says, because it has a very pleasant smell. It's very, very geschmack. So gzeire shemi yistapik mimeno. There's a gzeire that the person may want to take from this balsam to use for himself, to smear himself with it. What's the problem if you take from that on Shabbos? So Rashi here brings from the Gemara in Beya that if you take of it from Shabbos, you are doing the malacha of mechabe. You're extinguishing the fire. You're causing the fire to extinguish early. That's one opinion. That's the Rosh's opinion. Another opinion, the Taisvus's opinion, is while you take the oil from the fire, the flame of the fire gets diminished. So the gzeira is that because it has a good smell, a person may take from it while it's burning. Amalei Abaye. So Abaye said to Rabbe, Leime mar mipnei shehu off. Why do you have to say that the reason is because you may take from it on Shabbos and you're doing a malacha of extinguishing the fire? Why not simply say that it's off? Off simply means that the flame of the fire flies into the air and it's very flammable and it could cause the house to go on fire. So from Rashi it's mashman, the Rishonim say that what Abai is telling Rabbi is this isn't only an issue on Shabbos, but you shouldn't be allowed to use this all week, anytime. It's dangerous. It shouldn't be used indoors for a fire. So the Gemara answers, Chade v'oid ka'amar. He's saying one point and then he's saying an additional point. Chade, Take Rabbi agrees that the reason why you can't light with it, and this applies all week, mipnei shu off, because it flies in the air and it causes a fire. And v'oid, then on Shabbos there's an additional problem, gzeire shami yistapik mimeno. That there's a gzeira that he might come to use from it while it's burning, which as I said is going to be an issue with mechabe. So this is an additional reason. So the Ritva here says the reason why Rabbi gave an additional reason is because there could be perhaps an eitzah how to get rid of the problem that it's flammable and that it's volatile and it jumps into the air. If you add some other oil and it won't jump into the air, so then you might think that it would be mutter. So therefore he added the second reason, but there's still the problem that it has a very good smell and a person might want to take from it on Shabbos. Here the Gemara brings a story, a pretty ugly story actually. It's very hard to understand this. Hahi chamsa. There was a mother-in-law, the havasnias la lekalasa, that she really hated her daughter-in-law. So what did she do? Amra Allah, she says to her daughter-in-law, Zil ikshit go and adorn yourself, anoint yourself with this afarsima oil, which is the balsam oil. Azla, so she went, like a good daughter-in-law, she listened to her mother-in-law, ikshit, and she adorned herself with this oil. Kiyasis, when she came back, Amra Allah, so the mother-in-law says to her, Zil itli shraga, go and light a candle. Azla itla shraga, and she went and lit a candle. Infachba nura, so the fire jumped out at her and vachlasa, and it burnt her. The balsam oil that she had on herself caught on fire. It's very flammable and it burnt her. So we see over here how dangerous this tzari, this shemen afarsamayim is. Now the Gemara brings from a pasuk where we find this shemen afarsamayim. Umidala sa'aretz. So this is a pasuk that's talking about after the Churban Abayis, where all the Yidden were expelled from Eretz Yisrael, besides a few that were left there. So the pasuk says, Umidala sa'aretz, and from the poor in the land, Hishe nevuzradan Rav Tabachim. Nevuzradan, which was called Rav Tabachim, he left in Eretz Yisrael. Who did he leave there from the Yidden? Lekayrmim u'leyaygvim. Now the simple pshat of Kayrmim and Yaygvim would be the people that work in the vineyards and the people that work in the wine press. So, but the Gemara doesn't accept that pshat. Why would he leave specifically those people? There's nothing unique about what they do that he should leave them. So therefore the Gemara says, Kairmim, who are the Kairmim? Tani Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef said, Elu melakte afar samayin. These are the people that had the special ability to go out and know where to find this afar samayin oil. Me'en Gedi v'ad Ramsa. It's found from En Gedi until Ramsa. Yoigvim, who are the Yoigvim that he left in Eretz Yisrael? Elu tzaydei chilazon. Those are the people that can capture the chalazon fish, that from the chalazon fish, as we know, you make the tchelis of it. So it's a very unique thing, a very unique ability to be able to capture this chalazon fish and then to take out the blood from it, which is the dye used for the tchelis. Misulama is shal tzor, from the heights of tzor, va'at chayfa, until chayfa. That's the area where this chalazon fish is. So, because it was a unique thing that these people were able to do, so Nuvuzradan left them in Eretz Yisrael. The Gemara goes back now to the halacha of lighting Shabbos candles. Tana Rabbanon, ein madlikim betevel tomei bechoil. You're not allowed to light Shabbos candles with tevel, that's tomei. Tevel is when you have produce that the truma and maasros were not taken of it. So it's mixed in, the trumas and maasros are mixed into the produce, and you're not allowed to have any anah of it. Even the kayanim or the leviim, which get the trumas and maasros, before it's separated, they're not allowed to have any anah of it. Even when you use it in a fire, you're not allowed to have any anah of it either. So therefore, it can't be used for even during the week. That is, ve'ein tzarich loima b'Shabbos. Needless to say that you're not allowed to use it on Shabbos. So it sounds like in the Gemara that it's simpler understood that you can't use it on Shabbos. Needless to say. So the Mefarshim explain, but the Rashba brings this up. Why would you think that on Shabbos, what's the difference here between the weekdays and Shabbos? If it's Aseh B'Hana, so it's Aseh B'Hana. So the Mefarshim say that when it comes to a mitzvah, it's more obvious that it can't be used because then it's a mitzvah ba ba'aveda. It's not only that you're not allowed to have anah, but your mitzvah is not being fulfilled properly. Therefore, ein tzarich loymar, that it can't be done on Shabbos. Kayaytze bai. Similar thing that was said regarding lighting Shabbos candles. Ein madlikim benefet lovan. You can't light with white neft, which was mentioned already in the Mishnah on Daf Chav Daled. This neft comes from tar, so it can't be used on Shabbos. It can't be used b'chayil on the weekday. Vein tzarich loyma b'Shabbos. Needless to say on Shabbos. So the Gemara will explain both parts of this braysa. Bishleimen neft lavan. You can't use this neft mipnei shehu off, because it jumps up in the air and it's flammable and it's dangerous. So even in the weekdays you can't use it. Aval tevel tomei my time. What's the reason for tevel tomei? Now I should point out what both Rashi and Tosfos say. When it says here tevel tomei, as we'll see right here in the pasuk, even though it says tevel tomei, but it doesn't mean only tevel tomei. It means tevel tomei or tevel tahir. Whether the produce is tomei, whether the produce is tahir, either way, the trumas and maasros were not separated. Nobody could have anah of it. Rashi actually says that it's more obvious that tevel tahir is something that you can't have any anah from. So what's the source of this? My time, Makra, and this is a pasuk we had already on yesterday's blot. Makra, the pasuk says, "Vani hinenesati lochas mishmeres trumoisai," and I have given you the truma to safeguard. And the pasuk uses a plural term, trumoisai. B'shtei trumas akasav medaber. The Torah talks about two different trumas. Achas trumat tahira. It's talking about the truma that's given to the kain when it's tahir. V'achas trumat meya, and it's also talking about truma which is tameh. Ma trumat tahira. So we compare the two. Just like the halacha by trumat tahira is eilach ba elo mishas harama ve'eilach. The kain could only have anah of that truma after the truma was separated from the rest of the produce. Af trumat tmeya, the same is also with trumat tmeya. Eilach ba elo mishas harama ve'eilach. Once it's been separated, so then you could have anah of it, but not before then. So therefore, when it's still tevel, it hasn't been separated, you can't use it, not on the weekday and not on Shabbos. Gufa, now the Gemara goes back to the brayse that was quoted before, right at the beginning of what we started today with Rab Shimon ben Elazar. Now the Gemara is going to quote the entire brayse. Rab Shimon ben Elazar said, Ein madlikin b'tzari. You cannot light Shabbos candles with tzari. V'chein hoy Rab Shimon ben Elazar Omer, and Rab Shimon ben Elazar would say, tzari, what is this tzari? Einei el esraf me'atzi haktaf. it's this kind of the sap that comes out of the tree which is called ktaf. Rashi says kach shmam. So this is what it is. So this tsari comes from a balsam tree. I believe that's what the ktaf is. So really, Rashi says Rab Shimon ben Elazar is not giving another reason why it can't be used, because as we'll see in a moment, any oils that comes from wood cannot be used for Shabbos candles. It doesn't draw well into the wick, and it's not, can't be used. So besides the two reasons that we learned before, which is that it has a very good smell and a person might use it on Shabbos, and also that it's flammable and it flies up in the air, over here he's saying something else. It comes from atzei aktaf, it comes from wood, and therefore it's not fit to be used for Shabbos candles. Rabbi Shmuel Loimer. Now Rabbi Shmuel says, Kol hayotzim min ha'etz, any oils that come out of wood, ein madlikin, but you can't light with it on Shabbos, it doesn't go well into the wick. Rabbi Shmuel ben Broika says, ein madlikin ela b'yotze min ha'peri. We only use oils that have been extracted from a fruit, whether it's olive or any other fruit. Rab Tarfon says, ein madlikin ela b'shemen zayis bulvad. The only thing that you can use for Shabbos candles, we had this in the Mishnah as well, Rab Tarfon's opinion that you could only use shemen zayis, which is the best oil. It lights the brightest and the clearest fire. That's the only thing that should be used for Shabbos candles. So the Braisa continues. Amad Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri al Raglov. When Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri heard these opinions, he got up on his feet and va'amar, and he said, Ma yasu anshi Bavel. What should the people in Bavel do? She'ein lehem ela shemen shumshemen. All they have available is sesame seed oil. Uma yasu anshi Madai. What should the people of Madai do? She'ein lehem ela shemen agayzim. All they have available is oils coming from nut. Uma yasu anshe Alexandria. And what should the people of Alexandria do? She'ein lehem ela shemen tznoinus. All they have available is shemen coming from radishes, from the seeds of the radishes. Uma yasu anshe Kaputkaya she'ein lehem loikach v'loikach. They have none of these oils available. Ela neft. The only oil I had to have available is neft, which, as I said, comes from tar. Ella, so therefore he's asking a question on all the opinions that it said before, that were being very restrictive as far as which oils could be used. Ella, he says, Ein locha ella masha omru chachamim ein madlikin. We only go back to what it said in the Mishnah on Daf Chaf Amud Beis in the beginning of the Perek. There it said the list of the things that can't be used for Shabbos candles. But besides that, we shouldn't add any of our own restrictions as far as using the things for the oils, because then all these people are not going to be able to use any of the oils. Umadlikin b'shemen dogim, and then he adds, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri is still speaking here, and he says you can light with the oils that come from fish, ube itron, and you could also light with itron, which also comes from tar, and that doesn't have a very good smell, as we learned about this before, but he says you could light with this. Rab Shimon Shazuri Oimer. Rab Shimon Shazuri says, Madlikin b'shemen pekuais. You can light with the oil that comes from pekuais. We spoke about this already in the Mishnah. It's mentioned there. Some say it's turnip, others say it's some other kind of a vegetable that's similar to a watermelon. So the seeds of this vegetable could be used for oil. Ubeneft, and also neft could be used. Sumches Oimer, this is the conclusion of the Braise. Sumches says, Kol hayotzeh min habasar. Anything that comes from flesh, ein madlikin by. You cannot light with it, which would refer to any chaylev, all the fats that come from a behemoth, which was mentioned already in the first Mishnah, that you can't light with fats. Ella b'shemen dogim, you could light with oils that come from fish. That's the last opinion, Sumches' opinion in this Braisa. So now the Gemara asks the question, Sumches, haina Tanakama. It seems like what Sumches is saying is similar to the Tanakama. When the Gemara here says Tanakama, Rashi says it refers to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri also says that all of those that are mentioned in the Mishnah should not be used, which includes also Yotzim and Abasar. In the Mishnah, in the beginning of the Perek, we learned that the fats can't be used, but everything else could be used. So Sumches, and including Shemen Dogim, could be used. So what Sumches says seems to be the same as what the Tanakama says, what Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says. And for the Gemara gives a similar answer that we had 2 days ago regarding a similar question. Ikke beinayu, the difference between Sumches and Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri is the Rav Bruna. The statement that Rav Bruna said, Omar Rav in the name of Rav. So we had this already before in Daf Chav Beis. Rav Bruna in the name of Rav said, if you add some valid oil into the oil that's not acceptable, could you use it then? So that's the difference over here between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. If you add some of the valid oil to the fish oil, would you be able to use it or not? There's a lengthy discussion about this over here in Rashi and Taisus, but I'm going to stick to the simple pshat of the Gemara. The Lay Mesaimi, and it's not clear who is more lenient and who is more stringent. But this is the point of their machlokes. Now the Gemara begins a new subject, because we were talking about Yaitzim and Eitz. We were talking here about lighting Shabbos candles of oils that come from wood. So now it's going to discuss garments, clothing that are made from wood, or that are made from trees, which would be cotton, for example, that comes from a plant that grows. And the question is going to be, Benigay to Tumah. What is the qualification for it to be able to become Tomei? Does it become Tomei? The size of the garment for it to become tamei. So the next about blat, or a bit more, is going to be about this halacha of tumah, benegeh to the garments. So Gemara Tanya, we learned in Abraisa, Rab Shimon ben Elazar Omer, Rab Shimon ben Elazar says, Kol hayotzim min ha'etz. If you have any garments that are made from a tree or from a plant, which, as I mentioned, Rashi says, this refers to cotton. One example. Ein by mishum shalish al shalish. The halacha that applies that once it's 3 by 3 finger breadths does not apply here. If you have a garment, a piece of a garment that's 3 by 3 etzba'os, it will not be makabel tumah. As we'll see soon, when it comes to other garments that are qualified to be makabel tumah by 3 and 3 finger breadths, that's the shear of tumah, but not when it comes to cotton that comes from the tree. The Gemara is going to soon bring the source of everything. Now, since it does not become tamei, so therefore it could also be used for schach and a sukkah. So Rashi over here brings, when it comes to the din of schach and a sukkah, I'm sorry about the background noise, it'll stop in a minute. Rashi brings over here benigeh to the schach of a sukkah, that the halacha is that you can't use anything that's makabel tumah for a sukkah, to make schach over a sukkah. But since the cotton, or the material that comes from cotton, is not makabel tumah, so therefore it could be used for the schach of a sukkah. Chutz mi pishton. This does not include, however, clothing, a garment that was made of flax, linen, which even though it comes from something that grows, from a plant that grows, but nevertheless, pishton has the regular halacha of a beged that does become tamei when it has the size of 3 by 3 etzba'os. As we're going to see right now, in the continuation, the Gemara brings the source for this. Amar Abaye. So now Abaye says, Rab Shimon ben Elazar, the opinion of Rab Shimon ben Elazar, the Tana de Bei Rabbi Shmuel, and the opinion of another Tana in the Braise Rabbi Shmuel. Amru Davarecha. They both said the same thing. Because Abaye wants to explain the statement of Rab Shimon ben Elazar. What's the source of this concept? Why are we making a difference between what grows from a plant and what doesn't? What's the source of this whole thing? So he says, Rab Shimon ben Elazar, what he said is based on, and it's the same idea of what Rabbi Shmuel said. What did Rabbi Shmuel say? So both Rab Shimon ben Elazar and Tana de Bei Rabbi Shmuel, Amru Davarecha. They both said the same point. Rab Shimon ben Elazar Hada Maran. The statement of Rab Shimon ben Elazar that we have just quoted, and Tana de Bei Rabbi Shmuel, and then we have a Braisa of Rabbi Shmuel, Maihi. What is this? Where did we see Rabbi Shmuel? The Tana de Bei Rabbi Shmuel, so we learned in a Braisa of Rabbi Shmuel. So he says as follows, Hoyel v'nemru begodim b'Torah stam. In many places in Torah, it talks about begodim, about garments, and it doesn't spell out what kind of garments it's talking about. So Rashi says, by tumas shrotzim, by tumas meis, and by mitzayre, by azov, and so on. By different places, the Torah talks about the tumah as it relates to a beged, to a garment, but it doesn't tell us what kind of garment. But then, uparat l'cha kosav be'echad mehen, the Torah does specify in one of those cases, tzemer upishtim, that it's talking about a garment made out of wool or linen. So ma lahalon tzemer upishtim. So now we learn out from here, this is a source that we learn out to all of Torah. Just like when it comes to the mitzayre, it clearly spells out that the beged, the garment, is made either from wool and linen. Afkol, anytime the Torah talks about a garment becoming tamei, what kind of a garment is it talking about? Tzemer upishtim. A garment that's made from either wool or linen. And therefore, that excludes if it's made out of cotton or anything else, really. So it's not only when Rab Shimon ben Elazar excluded only cotton, but it's not only cotton. Really what we see over here, so we see two things that's added over here in what Rabbi Shmuel said. First of all, we see the source of this concept. It's learned out from what it says by Mitzayret, Tzemer Upishtim. And second of all, it's not only excluding cotton. It's only Tzemer Upishtim. That is the garment that the Torah describes as a beged that's makabel tumah. But if it's not Tzemer Upishtim, even if it's a garment that has the minimum size of 3 etzba'os, as we'll see soon, the Gemara will bring the source for that. So even if it has that minimum size, it's still not going to be makabel tumah. Okay. So now,
Tzemer is wool and
Pishtim is linen, right. So this is Abaye's opinion, that Rab Shimon ben Elazar and Rabbi Shmuel hold the exact same thing. Rava Omar, Rava says there's a slight difference between them. Shloisha al shloisha b'shar begodim ikke binayu. When you have a piece of garment which is shloisha al shloisha, now shloisha al shloisha refers to tfachim. When it says shaloish al shaloish, which is a lashon nekeva, it refers to etzba'os. It refers to the yes, is lashon nekeva. It refers to 3 finger breadths. When it says shloisha al shloisha, it refers to tfachim. That's lashon zachar, and it refers to tfachim, and it refers to a piece of garment that's the size of 3 by 3 tfachim. So this is the difference between Rab Shimon ben Elazar and Rabbi Shmuel. Rab Shimon ben Elazar specifically said that the other garments that are not tzemer and pishtim, if it's only 3 by 3 finger breadths, then it doesn't become tameh. So for Rab Shimon ben Elazar it's mashma, but if it's larger, if it's the size of 3 by 3 tfachim, then it could become tameh, even though it's not tzemer or pishtim. But Rabbi Shmuel, he tells you that only tzemer or pishtim becomes tameh, and that excludes other kinds of garments that come from cotton or anything else, even if it's 3 by 3 tfachim as well. So this is the difference, according to Rava, between Rab Shimon ben Elazar and Tana de Rabbi Shmuel. Later on Daf Chav Zayin, the Gemara will explain the source for the difference between them. We'll see when we get there in Mitzvah Shem. The Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, the Gemara spells it out. The Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Islay. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says that only 3 by 3 finger breadths do not become tameh, but if it's 3 by 3 tfachim, it will become tameh. The Tana de Rabbi Shmuel, Leslie. Rabbi Shmuel though says anything that's not tzemer or pishtim, if it's not wool or linen, even if it's 3 by 3 tfachim, it will not become tameh. So now the Gemara takes a step back. We're discussing over here things that are not tzemer or pishtim, but the Gemara wants to know what's the source that for this measurement of 3 by 3 finger breadths. Where does that come from? When it comes to tzemer or pishtim, wool and linen, which will become tameh when it has that minimum size of 3 by 3 finger breadths, what's the source of that minimum size? Kul al memiyes. Now everybody holds shalosh al shalosh if it's 3 by 3 finger breadths, but tzemer or pishtim metame. That when it comes to tzemer and pishtim, wool or linen, it becomes tameh b'negoyim by a mitzayda. And from there we learn out to everywhere else. Minalon, from where do we know this? So the Gemara brings up Raisa. Tanya, we learned in Raisa, beged. The Torah, when it says the din of atzaras on a garment, it uses the term beged, a full garment. Ainli yellow beged. So I would think that that only includes a garment. Shalosh al shalosh minayin. How do I know if it's a piece of a garment that's only 3 by 3 etzba'os? How do I know that that becomes tameh as well? Talmud Loimar, so the Torah says, Veha beged. The Torah added the words Vav and the Hey, Veha beged, to add that even if it's 3 by 3 etzba'os, it also becomes tameh. Frag the Gemara, how do you know this comes to add 3 by 3 etzba'os, such a small size? Ve'ema, perhaps it's a larger shear. L'rabbis shloisha al shloisha. Maybe the viha beged comes to add that even if it's not a full garment, but it's 3 by 3 tfachim, then it becomes tameh. Who says it becomes tameh if it's 3 by 3 etzba'os? Smaller. Which is smaller, right? So the Gemara answers, Lav kal v'chaymerhu. The fact that a beged that's 3 by 3 tfachim becomes tameh, is that not a kal v'chaymer? Wouldn't we know that on our own? Hashta shesi ve'erev mitame. A shesi and erev become tameh. If you look in the pasuk, it mentions shesi ve'erev. When you have a garment, so it's made up of the thread that goes in the length and the thread that goes in the width. Those are the 2 threads that are used to make the garment, the shesi and the erev. So even if you just have the shesi and the erev separately, not in a garment, that becomes tameh as well. So if that becomes tameh, shloisha al shloisha mibaya, So do you need to say that 3 by 3 tfachim, a piece of garment that 3 by 3 tfachim should become tamei? For sure becomes tamei. So you don't need a pasuk for that. So the Gemara asks, if so, hachi shalosh al shalosh nami leise b'kal v'chaymer. 3 by 3 etzbais should also be learnt out with a kal v'chaymer from a shesi and an erev that's used in the thread that's used in a garment. So therefore the Gemara retracts and says as follows: Ella shloisha al shloisha. When it comes to a piece of garment that's 3 by 3 tfachim in size, the chazu bein la shirim bein la aniyim. This is something that both a rich person or a poor person would make use out of it. It's large enough that anybody would try to make use out of this. So that asi b'kal v'chaymer. That you could learn of a kal v'chaymer. The Rishonim actually say you don't even need a kal v'chaymer for this. If it's so large that anybody would make use out of it, it's like a garment. That's considered to be a garment. That's beged, and that would for sure become tamei, and the din of taras would apply. Shalosh al shalosh. But if you have a piece of a garment that's very small, it's only 3 by 3 etzba'os, la'animu dechazyan. Only a poor person will use it, will make use out of it. La'ashirim lechazyan. A rich man sees such a small piece of garment, he'll throw it out. He's not going to make any use out of it. So lo yasi b'kal v'chaymer. That's so small that a person's going to throw it out. Many people will throw it out, so that we can't learn out from any kal v'chaymer. If we're not going to have a special limud from viha beged, from the extra vav and the hay, we're not going to say that it becomes tamei. So therefore, we have the limud, we go back to our original limud, viha beged teaches us that if it's 3 by 3 etzba'os, it becomes tamei. This is the source for this minimum shear of 3 by 3 etzba'os. Now the Gemara goes weiter and asks, time the kosvei kro. So the only reason why we include even 3 by 3 etzba'os, such a small size of a garment, is because we have this limud that we're learning out from the word veha beged. But if not for the pasuk, we would not learn out of a kal v'chaymer. Why not? Frek the Gemara. Ve'eme l'rabbeis shloisha al shloisha b'shar begodim. Who says the pasuk is available to learn out 3 by 3 etzba'os? Maybe when the Torah writes veha beged, maybe the Torah is coming to add another kind of beged that was not mentioned in the pasuk at all. Instead of saying that we're coming to add regarding tzemer and pishtim, the wool and linen that were mentioned in the pasuk, and to say that even if it's a small size of 3 by 3 etzba'os becomes tamei, maybe veha beged is coming to add kinds of garments that were not mentioned in the pasuk at all, like cotton or any other kinds of garments. And we should say that it's coming to be marbe, that if you have any other kind of garment that's 3 by 3 tfachim, which as we said is the size that anybody would use, ashirim, aniyim, maybe it's coming to add them to become tamei. Who says it's coming to add a smaller size regarding wool and linen? So the Gemara says, Omakra, no, but the Torah clearly says, Beged, Tzemer, Upishtim, that it's only wool and linen that the din of a tzaras applies. Beged, Tzemer, Upishtim in, only for wool and linen the tzaras applies. Midiachrin ilai. For anything else, for any other size, it doesn't apply. If for any other beged, that is, for any other beged besides Tzemer and Upishtim, it doesn't apply. We can still say that maybe this does refer to a limud for other garments besides wool and linen. Maybe, perhaps, ki imot, when the Torah excluded any other garments because it writes only tzemer and pishtim, only wool and linen, mishalish al shalish. That means that other garments, if it's a small size of 3 by 3 etzba'os, that chumrah does not apply to other garments. It only applies to wool and linen. Avol shloisha al shloisha, but when it comes to any other garments that are 3 by 3 tvachim, mitame, maybe it could become tamei, and I could learn out from viha beged to include even other garments that are 3 by 3 tvachim. And when it says tzemeru pishtim, it's going to exclude other garments when it's the smaller size of 3 by 3 etzba'os. So the Gemara says, no, trei miyuti ksivi. The Torah writes a second time that is specifically tzemer and pishtim, because it says again at the end of the parsha, beged tzemer, oibe beged pishtim. So why does the Torah write twice only tzemer and pishtim? Chad lemutim shalosh al shalosh. One time comes to say that garments made out of other materials, even when it's 3 by 3 etzba'os, it's not included. in the din of tzaras, and v'chad, and the Torah writes it a second time, l'meuti mishloisha al shloisha, to say that even garments, other garments made out of other materials that are 3 by 3 tfachim wide, still it's not included either. So we have 2 miyutim, and therefore we know that other garments are not included at all. So we go back to the limud that we said before, that viha beged is coming to teach me that regarding tzemer and pishtim, wool and linen, even if it's not a full garment, even if it's just 3 by 3 etzbois, that's enough for it to become tamei. That's the end of the sugya for today. It's a shorter share today, and that's the end of the inyan today. We should only hear Besudas Tavis and Yeshua and a gula for everybody.